Welcome back to the Cannes Film Festival 2023 Parallel Challenge here on Fantasy Film Ball. We are your hosts, Matt and Arnaud.
That means we are watching an equivalent film to all 21 competition titles at Cannes this year. In this video, we'll be talking about both Our Lady of the Nile and Astel, parallel with Banel Adama by Ramata-Toulaye Sy. Who is Ramata-Toulaye Sy, you ask, as a cinephile who has never heard this name before? Well, we had not heard this name before, at least before it was announced in the selection this year. This is a first-time filmmaker. We don't often see first-time filmmakers in competition. The last time we saw first-time filmmakers was in 2019 with both Mati Diop and Lajli. We talk about backgrounds for these filmmakers. This is going to be a lot shorter because we don't know too much about her. She went to school at La Femis, which is the top French film school. She started as a screenwriter. In preparation for directing, she notably co-wrote films like Sibel, which is a Turkish kind of emancipation drama, and Our Lady of the Nile, which takes place in Rwanda. So she definitely kind of is a bit of a globetrotter in her writing. And she directed Astel, which is her latest short film, in preparation, apparently, for Banel Adama, which I suppose makes sense because that short film takes place in Senegal, which is where Banel Adama takes place as well. And hopefully this is the start of a long and fruitful career. We are choosing to watch both her latest short film, so that we actually see a film that she directed, and Our Lady of the Nile, which is a film that she co-wrote, so that we also have a feature film on the menu.
The first is Our Lady of the Nile. Funny enough, the director of this film is actually on the jury of Cannes this year. So maybe that is a little bit of bias that could hint us towards possibly Ramata-Toulaye Sy winning a prize. And the next film we'll talk about, Astel, is a short film that she directed, and it won her the TIFF Share Her Journey Prize in 2021. Our Lady of the Nile is a film about Catholic girls at a school in Rwanda in the 1970s, around the beginning of the campaign against Tutsis by the Hutu government, and the eventual purging of Tutsi girls from the school. It's about the prejudice within Rwanda from one group of people towards another, which will eventually go on to lead to the Rwandan genocide in 1994. We do not see the genocide happen, but this is about the events that will eventually spiral into genocide. How does it begin? What type of hatred leads to people dehumanizing each other to the point where they can slaughter each other? Astel, on the other hand, is a film about a young girl coming of age in Senegal. She goes out into the bush every single day with her father to look after their cows, but she soon finds that the expectations of young women as she comes of age will force her to start working with her mother and the other women in the village, even though she loves being with her father. So the first thing that I want to say here about both of these films is that they are both beautifully directed. Obviously, Our Lady of the Nile, that doesn't matter because she didn't direct this film, but Astel is directed by her, and I think that her directorial voice really shines. There's a very poetic nature to the shots. However, I do think that the screenplay is a bit of a weak point in both films. In Our Lady of the Nile, I think that it really portrays the political situation very strongly through the use of a religious school, Catholicism, to show how this kind of prejudice has developed. I think that's very, very strong, but at times I feel like it goes on some tangents that take us away from the main focus in a way that doesn't feel like it always elevates what the story is doing. And in her short film, Astel, I found that the vagueness and the slowness of the screenplay were a major low point. Yes, the shots were poetic and beautiful, but it's a 24-minute film that feels like it has the content of a 6 or 7 minute short film. I would say that she's definitely a filmmaker to watch, and she has a very exciting voice, but I'm not entirely sure.
I would tend to disagree on the screenplay front. I did actually really enjoy the screenplay for Our Lady on the Nile. I thought that was actually the strong point, maybe more so than the direction, actually. It was a really interesting way of, having this kind of coming of age microcosm of the political situation within this secluded from the rest of the country to a certain extent. To me, there were a lot of scenes that were quite memorable, and I thought a lot of great kind of dialogue motifs that I found quite interesting. Scenes that kind of show their relationship with the French colonialism. As far as Astel goes, I would say that I was more impressed with the direction than the screenplay on that one, although I don't think the screenplay is bad. I think it's just that this film is simple. And I think that if Banel and Adama is basically something like that, but on a larger scope and with more characters, we can be seeing something quite interesting.
Banel and Adama is a very exciting Cannes inclusion, though, because directorial debuts are very rare in competition. They usually mean something very, very special, because mostly films like this are relegated to the un certain regard category instead of the main competition. From 2010 till 2022, there have only been 4 debut films in competition for the Palme d'Or, and those were Son of Saul, which went on to win the Academy Award, Les Miserables, which was nominated for the Academy Award, Atlantics, which was shortlisted for the Academy Award, and Yomadine, which we don't talk about that one.
It's the exception.
So this is a Senegalese film, and it seems to be a bit of a Romeo and Juliet story of forbidden love between 2 teenagers. One is meant to become the leader of his village, the other is a constant rebel, and they decide to run away together. It sounds like a lovely film, and I think a voice like Ramata-Toulaye Sy could be very interesting in bringing this story to life.
This is a love story we're talking about. Love stories tend to be accessible, easy to root for. If it's good, this could be Senegal's first Oscar nomination, because I expect this to be accessible and to be good. This is one of the films I think we can see being bought not too far after its premiere date by a big distributor. I'm talking Neon could buy this, and it becomes like their top dog. I expect this to win a prize, perhaps a Grand Prix, perhaps the jury prize, something like that. I can see that easily winning.
I don't think this walks away empty-handed. Like I mentioned before, those 4 films, 3 out of 4 of those won prizes, which means the odds are kind of in Banel and Adama's favor, unless it is another massive exception to the rule. I have high hopes here. Thank you guys so much for joining in with our Cannes Parallel Challenge. Make sure you subscribe so that you can stay up to date on all of our Cannes updates. We're going to be dropping a ton of videos through the film festival, so make sure you follow along to figure out who our Palme d'Or is going to be, and thank you so much for watching.